Let me ask you something. What's robbing you isn't always visible. It's silent. It's subtle. It's the decision you make every morning to stay the same, while others scroll through noise, champions scroll through knowledge. You want to know the real difference between a millionaire mindset and a minimum wage mentality. One feeds itself truth daily. The other feeds on comfort. You are either evolving or decaying. There is no neutral. Life doesn't wait for you to decide when you're ready. It keeps moving, and if you're not growing, you're falling behind. People like to believe that if they just maintain, stay in their comfort zone, keep doing what they've always done, everything will be fine. But life doesn't honor maintenance. It honors motion. The moment you stop learning, stretching, or seeking, you're not staying still. You're slipping. Every single day, your habits are pushing you toward transformation or deterioration. If you wake up and default to scrolling, reacting, avoiding, and numbing, that's not just lost time. It's erosion. Your mindset is decaying. Your discipline is weakening. Your vision is fading. And the worst part, it often happens silently. You don't notice the decline until it shows up in your bank account, your relationships, your peace, and your purpose. This world is designed to keep you distracted and disoriented unless you intentionally anchor yourself in growth. You have to train your mind like a soldier, on mission, on purpose, alert. Why? Because there is no neutral. Even when nothing seems to be changing on the outside, something is changing on the inside. Your confidence is either being built or broken. Your character is either being forged or forgotten. And your calling is either being activated or abandoned. Most people treat life like they've got unlimited time to get serious. They wait until the crisis hits, until the opportunity passes, until they're sick and tired of being sick and tired. But let me tell you the truth. If you're not evolving, you're decaying. You cannot coast your way into greatness. You cannot stumble into mastery. You can't accidentally become wise, wealthy, or whole. Those things require intentional, daily effort. Every choice is a vote for who you're becoming. It doesn't matter how talented you are. If you're not growing, you're decaying. It doesn't matter how successful you look. If your mindset is shrinking, your future is too. People get so addicted to who they were that they stop becoming who they were born to be. They settle into cycles instead of seasons. They confuse being busy with being fruitful. But movement isn't progress if it's just running in circles. You must feed your mind with the kind of truth that offends your comfort. Growth doesn't come wrapped in ease. It comes with stretching, discomfort, and challenge. But that pressure, it's what produces power. You cannot sharpen your thinking without friction. You cannot elevate without resistance. So if your life feels uncomfortable right now, that might not be punishment. It might be proof that you're evolving. Now, let's talk about those moments when it feels easier to retreat. Maybe you've tried to grow before and failed. Maybe people doubted you. Maybe you doubted yourself. And now it feels safer to shrink. But safe doesn't make you strong. Safe keeps you stagnant. Playing small doesn't protect you. It poisons you. It convinces you that mediocrity is noble and that progress is pride. That's a lie. You were not created to blend in, coast through, or bow out. You were made to rise, to expand, to reflect the greatness of the one who made you. Evolving doesn't require perfection. It requires commitment. You won't always feel ready. You won't always feel confident, but show up anyway. Keep showing up, keep learning, keep fighting for your next level. Because if you don't, decay will take the space you refuse to fill. Doubt will grow where discipline is absent. Regret will take root where growth was neglected. Look around your life. What areas feel stuck, stagnant, or stale? That's not just coincidence. It's a sign. A sign that something needs to be revived. Not everything needs a new season. Some things just need new effort. You have more potential than you've accessed, more power than you've activated, more capacity than you've believed. But you'll never see it if you settle. You are either evolving or decaying. That's not a threat, it's a call to wake up, a call to shake off the excuses and the distractions, a call to be a steward of your own potential. Because the world is not going to stop and wait for you to feel inspired, and God is not going to keep pouring into a vessel that refuses to be stretched. Every single day is a seed. What you do today determines what you'll harvest tomorrow. Growth is not a feeling. It's a discipline, and every act of discipline is declaring to your future, I'm not going to decay. I'm going to evolve. Your earning will rarely exceed your learning. This isn't just a clever phrase. It's a law. It's a principle that governs progress in every area of life, but especially in your finances. If your mindset isn't expanding, your money won't either. People want million-dollar lives with minimum wage mindsets. They want overflow while thinking in survival. But wealth is not a money issue. It's a mind issue. Your income is a reflection of the value you bring, and the value you bring is determined by what you've learned, mastered, and applied. Think about it. You don't get paid for how long you work. You get paid for the problems you solve, and the size of the problem you can solve is tied directly to the size of your understanding. If you want to earn more, you've got to grow more. You must outlearn your current level to outearn your current income. That's why two people can work the same hours in the same city, but one makes 10 times more, because the difference isn't in the effort, it's in the expertise. Learning is leverage. Every book you read, every mentor you listen to, every course you complete, every skill you sharpen. It all stacks up. It compounds. It positions you to see what others miss, to move faster, to serve deeper, to charge higher. You can't attract you opportunities with low-level thinking. You must elevate your perspective before you elevate your paycheck. The marketplace doesn't reward potential. It rewards preparation. Now let's get real. A lot of people pray for breakthrough but won't study for it. They want God to bless what they're not willing to build. They want open doors while refusing to pick up the keys of wisdom. But God honors stewardship. He multiplies what you manage, not what you ignore. If you're unwilling to grow, you're unfit to hold what you're asking for. And if He gave it to you too soon, you'd lose it in the same mindset that kept you broke. When you commit to daily learning, you start to think differently. You stop reacting and start creating. You stop chasing money and start becoming the kind of person money chases, because now you carry clarity, confidence, and competence, 3 currencies far more valuable than cash. And once you get those right, the cash follows, because money flows in the direction of excellence. Let's be clear, learning isn't just about knowledge, it's about application. There are people who read all the books, attend all the seminars, and still stay stuck. Why? Because they collect information like trophies but never use it as tools. You must apply what you learn. Execution is the bridge between education and elevation. If you're not doing what you know, you don't really know it. You've got to embody the lessons, not just admire them. And don't think this is just about formal education. This is about self-education. It's about feeding your mind like your future depends on it, because it does. Listen to podcasts while you drive, read books during your downtime, watch interviews with people further than you, take online courses, join masterminds, study your industry, don't scroll, study, Don't complain, consume wisdom. Because what you feed yourself mentally will show up financially. The most dangerous place to be is comfortable. Comfort breeds complacency, and complacency kills calling. If you're not hungry to grow, you're settling for average, and average doesn't get rewarded. The difference between broke and blessed is often hidden in a book you haven't read yet, in a mentor you haven't pursued, in a strategy you haven't studied. Your next level isn't locked away, it's just undiscovered because you stopped learning. Look at any high earner. They are constant students. They don't settle. They invest in growth. They understand that information changes situations, and the more you know, the more you can charge, the more doors open, the more freedom you access. If you want to shift your income, start by shifting your input. Every day you don't learn, you're agreeing to stay the same, you're choosing stagnation, you're capping your capacity, and make no mistake, what you don't know will cost you. It will cost you time, energy, relationships, and money. Ignorance is expensive. Wisdom pays dividends. That's why your earning will rarely exceed your learning. This is not about chasing money. It's about becoming a magnet for it. It's about building a mind so rich that your bank account has no choice but to follow. You don't need luck. You need to learn, because once you grow into it, no one can take it from you. The real wealth is in the wisdom. The money just responds. Daily education is daily elevation. That means every time you choose to feed your mind with wisdom, you're not just getting smarter, you're rising. You're shifting your position, your mindset, your influence, and your impact. There's no such thing as staying the same. You're either going deeper into stagnation or higher into transformation. And the fastest way to rise, educate yourself every single day. When you wake up and prioritize your growth, you are sending a message to the world and to yourself that you are not available for average. You are not interested in repeating yesterday's limitations. You are choosing to become a more capable, more powerful, more effective version of yourself. And when you make that choice consistently, elevation becomes inevitable. Education isn't just school. It's not about degrees and diplomas. It's about being a disciplined student of life, purpose, and mastery. You could be 20 or 60, broke or thriving, just starting or seasoned. It doesn't matter. What matters is your willingness to be teachable, because teachability is the foundation of transformation. The people who keep rising in life aren't always the most talented. They're the most teachable. They are humble enough to learn and hungry enough to act. And daily means daily, not when you feel like it, not when it's convenient. Growth doesn't wait for the perfect schedule. Growth shows up when discipline shows up. The reason most people never break through isn't because they don't want to succeed, it's because they don't want to grow every day. They want the fruit without planting the seed, but your future is determined by what you do consistently, not occasionally. Daily education is a spiritual decision, because when you invest in wisdom, you are honoring the gift God gave you, your mind. He gave you a tool that can unlock dimensions of destiny, but you've got to sharpen it, you've got to seek, you've got to stretch. Every time you learn something new, you're expanding the territory God can bless in your life. He won't bless what you won't build. He won't expand what you won't educate. Most people think elevation is some sudden breakthrough, like one big moment that changes everything. But real elevation is the result of hidden decisions. It's the hours no one sees. It's the discipline when no one's watching. It's the time you spend reading instead of scrolling, studying instead of sleeping, learning instead of wasting. Those aren't small choices. Those are seeds, and they produce harvests far greater than what you see in the moment. Elevation isn't always about income, it's about insight. It's about thinking at a higher level, responding from wisdom instead of emotion, leading with clarity instead of confusion. The world doesn't need more noise, it needs voices of depth, and that depth only comes from consistent growth. You cannot rise to a level you haven't studied. You cannot lead people to a place you've never been mentally. Your habits tell the truth about your hunger. If you say you want more, but you don't make time to learn, you're not hungry. You're just wishing. Wishing doesn't produce elevation. Work does. Focus does. Daily pursuit does. You've got to outlearn your excuses, outstudy your doubts, outsmart your fears, and the only way to do that is by showing up for your education every day, like your life depends on it, because it does. Every lesson you master increases your leverage. You walk differently when you know something others don't. You move with certainty when you're armed with insight. You speak with authority when you've done the work. People respect preparation, doors open for the disciplined, and confidence is born from knowledge that's been tested and applied. Let me tell you this, your daily education is shaping your destiny, even when it doesn't look like it. That one chapter you read today could be the spark that leads to a business idea. That podcast you listen to on your lunch break might rewire how you handle relationships. That note you took in silence might become the strategy that sets you apart. Never underestimate the power of one committed hour, one page, one principle, because that small act of education can launch a lifetime of elevation. If you want to rise, you've got to study above your current situation. You've got to train for the version of you you haven't met yet. Growth doesn't knock at weights to be pursued, so pursue it daily, seek it daily, learn like your legacy depends on it, because it does. Daily education is not about cramming facts into your mind, it's about awakening the future inside of you. You were created for more, but you'll never step into it by accident. You rise by design, and the design begins with disciplined daily education. When you learn, you lead. When you study, you soar. And when you grow, everything around you begins to rise with you. Your environment teaches you, so curate it with intention. Whether you realize it or not, the space you live in, the voices you listen to, the energy around you, and the atmosphere you allow are all instructing you every single day. Your environment is not neutral. It's a classroom. It's either pulling you higher or dragging you lower. It's training your mind to think expansion or conditioning it to accept limitation. And if you're not intentionally curating that space, then you're unconsciously giving permission for anything to shape your thoughts, your habits, and your future. Look around. What are you allowing to influence you? Who are you letting speak into your spirit? What kind of conversations are normal in your space? If you're surrounded by negativity, complaining, gossip, fear, and mediocrity, don't be surprised when your thinking starts echoing those same sounds. You become what you're repeatedly exposed to. So if you stay around dysfunction long enough, it becomes familiar, and what's familiar becomes acceptable. Eventually, you stop noticing how unhealthy it is because it feels normal. But normal doesn't mean safe. Normal doesn't mean right. Some of you have been trained by your environment to expect struggle, to assume failure, to believe that purpose is only for other people. And you never questioned it because that was the only reality you saw modeled. That's why you've got to get radical about your atmosphere. If your environment is a teacher, then it's your responsibility to make sure the right voices are doing the teaching. You don't have to live under the weight of what's been spoken over you. You can change the narrative by changing the room. You can shift the outcome by shifting the atmosphere. Curating your environment means cutting access. It means silence over noise. It means quality over quantity. Not everyone gets a front row seat in your life when you're building legacy. Not everyone qualifies to influence your decisions when your destiny is on the line. And this isn't just about people, it's also about media. What you watch, what you listen to, what you scroll, what you consume is shaping you. If your feed is full of fear, foolishness, and distraction, then your thoughts will be too. You can't expect clarity when your mind is constantly being cluttered. You can't pray for peace while entertaining chaos. If you want to live with intention, you have to build with intention, and your environment is the blueprint. Greatness doesn't grow in garbage. Purpose doesn't rise in poison. You want to elevate, start with your space, clean it, guard it, fill it with what nourishes your vision, create a setting that makes you focus, put books on your desk instead of distractions, turn your phone off and turn your mind on. Watch people who inspire you, not just entertain you. Surround yourself with voices that remind you who you're becoming, not just who you've been, because here's the truth, environment is prophetic. It whispers to your future. It either tells you to shrink or to rise, and when you change your environment, you give your soul permission to dream bigger. Some of you are not stuck. You are just suffocated by your surroundings. Your potential has been choked by conversations that lack purpose. Your dreams have been drowned out by environments that can't hold them. You've got to get to a place where your environment reflects your calling. That means surrounding yourself with challenge, with excellence, with accountability. Growth doesn't happen in rooms where you're always the smartest person. Growth happens in rooms that stretch your thinking, demand your best, and sharpen your skills. If no one around you is building, you'll feel strange for trying. But if everyone around you is growing, you'll feel pulled into progress. This is not about arrogance. It's about alignment. You owe it to your assignment to be in the right rooms. The wrong environment will delay your destiny. The right one will accelerate it. That's why the enemy doesn't always attack with destruction. He attacks with distraction. He keeps you in rooms you've outgrown. He surrounds you with people who applaud your comfort. Because he knows if you ever step into an atmosphere of growth, you'll become unstoppable. So be ruthless with your environment. If it doesn't feed your future, it's feeding your fears. If it doesn't push you forward, it's pulling you back. Stop waiting for permission to change your space. Create the culture you need to thrive. Your environment is your ecosystem, and ecosystems either produce life or death, progress or decay. If you want different results, build a different room. Make it loud with faith, rich with wisdom, filled with strategy, charged with purpose, because your environment is always teaching, and you are always listening. Make sure it's telling you the truth about who you really are. God doesn't bless laziness of thought. He blesses stewardship. He blesses effort. He blesses intentionality. And too many people are praying for a breakthrough while protecting their broken thinking. They're asking for elevation but refusing to elevate their mindset. They want harvest without planting thought seeds, but heaven doesn't honor mental negligence. It honors diligence, especially in how you think. Because before anything shows up in your hands, it first passes through your mind. Thoughts are not random. They are the blueprint of your life. You can't live a powerful life with passive thinking. You can't walk in divine purpose with mental patterns you've borrowed from culture, trauma, or fear. God gave you a mind to manage, not to abandon. And the minute you become lazy in your thinking, you start forfeiting the future He designed for you. That's not because He withdrew His favorites, because you stopped cultivating the ground where His favor was meant to grow. Laziness of thought shows up in the form of excuses, complaining, assumptions, shallow analysis, emotional reactions, and unchecked beliefs. It's not just about not working hard, it's about not thinking deeply. It's about refusing to challenge your own habits and assumptions. When your mind is on autopilot, your life will be too, and autopilot never leads to excellence. It leads to average. It leads to repetition. It leads to cycles that look spiritual on the outside, but are empty on the inside. God wants to do more through you, but He requires you to renew your mind. That's not just a nice verse. That's a command. Transformation doesn't begin in your hands. It begins in your head. And too many people want to live transformed lives without doing the work of transforming their thoughts. But the kingdom doesn't operate on emotion. It operates on principle. If your thinking is small, anxious, unfocused, or lazy, then even divine assignments will feel like burdens instead of blessings. Your thoughts are your responsibility. God gives revelation, but you must meditate. He gives strategy, but you must study. He gives inspiration, but you must act. When He speaks, do you write it down? Do you build on it? Do you reflect? Or do you forget it by the afternoon because your mind is too cluttered with distractions? Don't ask God to bless what you're unwilling to manage. A mind left unattended becomes a battlefield where fear wins by default. The most dangerous form of laziness is not in your body, it's in your belief. If you believe that success is for others but not for you, you won't pursue excellence. If you believe that struggle is noble and strategy is prideful, you'll resist wisdom. If you believe that God will just do it without your mental participation, you'll stay stagnant. God doesn't need you to figure everything out, but He does need you to think like someone who's been filled with His Spirit. Laziness of thought is what keeps people in bondage with open doors right in front of them. It's what makes you ignore opportunities because you're stuck in a fence. It's what causes people to resist growth because they're addicted to familiarity. Your mind must be renewed daily. You cannot live on yesterday's revelation. You can't fight today's battles with last month's mindset. You have to seek wisdom, challenge your assumptions, feed your focus, and guard your thoughts. If you want God to enlarge your territory, you must first enlarge your thought life. Think in alignment with where you're going, not just where you've been. Speak like someone who expects increase. Plan like someone who believes in legacy. Learn like someone who knows they've only scratched the surface. Because when God sees that you're serious about managing your mind, He will give you more clarity, more favor, more opportunity, more insight. Stop calling confusion a season when it's actually a symptom. A symptom of mental neglect. You're scrolling more than you're studying. You're reacting more than you're reflecting. You're praying for peace but feeding your mind chaos, and then you wonder why things aren't shifting. The answer isn't out there. It's in how you think. And until your thoughts are disciplined, your results will remain inconsistent. God doesn't bless laziness of thought. He blesses those who take their mind seriously. Your thoughts are the steering wheel of your destiny. If you let them drift, you will crash. If you let the wrong voices hijack them, you'll live a life that isn't even yours. But if you take control, if you choose to think on purpose, to meditate on truth, to challenge old narratives, then God can trust you with the weight of purpose. Your mind is a garden, and God gives the seed. But He expects you to till the soil, pull the weeds, water it daily, and protect it from intruders. That's not just responsibility, it's worship. Thinking with clarity is worship. Planning with faith is worship. Curating your thoughts is worship. Because when your thoughts align with truth, your life begins to reflect heaven on earth. Your legacy depends on what you learn today, not tomorrow, not next year, not when things calm down, or when you finally feel ready. Today, because every lesson you embrace, every truth you apply, every principle you absorb becomes a brick in the foundation of what you're building, not just for you, but for everyone connected to your name. Legacy is not some future event. It's being shaped in your daily choices, and one of the most powerful choices you can make is to learn. Learning is the bridge between potential and purpose. It is the tool God gives you to turn your calling into a contribution. If you refuse to grow, you're not just delaying your breakthrough, you're affecting generations. What you won't face, they'll have to fight. What you won't learn, they'll have to suffer through. That's why learning is a sacred act. Because it's not just for your personal gain, it's for your bloodline's freedom. Most people think legacy is about what you leave behind, but the truth is, legacy is about what you live out now. It's the example you set. It's the mindset you model. It's the wisdom you embody. And all of that is rooted in what you choose to learn. If you're learning discipline, then you're laying down a pattern for those after you to follow. If you're learning how to heal, you're breaking cycles that others would have been trapped in. If you're learning how to think at a higher level, then you're creating a new ceiling, a new normal for your family, your community, and your future. You can't build legacy off inspiration alone. You need information, you need revelation, you need transformation, and none of that happens without learning how to handle pressure, learning how to manage money, learning how to lead with integrity, learning how to process pain without passing it on. Every lesson matters, every truth applied builds something eternal. Learning isn't always glamorous. Sometimes it looks like being corrected. Sometimes it looks like admitting you didn't know what you thought you knew. Sometimes it's uncomfortable because it confronts the parts of you that want to stay the same. But that discomfort is where legacy begins. If you can push through the resistance to grow, you're unlocking a future that others didn't even know was possible. You weren't put here to just survive. You were born to shift atmospheres, to break generational limits, to raise the standard, and to carry the weight of transformation. But you cannot carry that if you won't carry truth, and truth comes through learning. You've got to stay teachable, stay hungry, stay open, because the more you learn, the more God can trust you with. Wisdom attracts responsibility, and responsibility multiplies influence. You don't need to be perfect to leave a legacy. You need to be a student. Be someone who learns from pain instead of hiding from it. Be someone who learns from others instead of trying to prove they know it all. Be someone who learns from God even when it challenges your comfort. Because when you position yourself as a learner, you align yourself with growth. And growth is where legacy is formed. One of the most dangerous mindsets is the belief that what you do today doesn't matter, that somehow your present choices are disconnected from your future reality. But that's a lie. Today is the seedbed of legacy. What you do now is either building or breaking the future you say you want. Every page you read, every idea you wrestle with, every principle you apply, it's all shaping the story your life will tell when you're gone. The world doesn't need more noise. It needs people of depth. People who have paid the price to learn, to grow, to think, to lead. People who don't just repeat what they were taught, but who question, study, evolve, and elevate. That kind of person is rare, but that kind of person changes the world, and you have the power to be that person, not someday, today. If you're willing to learn, your children are watching, your community is watching, your younger self is watching. They're waiting for someone to choose wisdom over wandering, to choose growth over comfort, to choose legacy over laziness. You don't need all the answers today, but you do need to learn something today. Because that one insight, that one breakthrough, that one decision to grow might be the turning point for everything connected to you. So don't despise small beginnings. Don't overlook today. What you learn now might be the very thing that delivers someone later. What you apply now might become the strategy that sets someone else free. Your legacy doesn't start when you're gone. It starts with what you're learning while you're here, and it starts right now.